So
Thank you.
we're holding Daf Ayin Daled Amid Beis, the last line. Daf Ayin, the Dafim are opposite here, so you just have to Daf Ayin Daled Amid Beis, last line. Amid Aleph turned into Amid Beis turned into Amid Aleph. Okay. We're in the Chodesh Harachamim, and we're getting ready for Yom Kippur. So, Baruch Hashem, we're learning Gemara Yoma. And we're going to try to just cover as much ground as we could in this month in Meseches Hashem as we're getting into Yom Kippur. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'sha'akom b'dvarim. It's a toisus because it's the opposite. That's why. Okay, let's get going. A lot today is going to be about the mon, because we learned Vayancha ve'yerevecha machilchas hamon. Oh, David, how are you? Refuah Shleima. Refuah Shleima.
Thank you.
No, but yes. Today we're doing Siyam Rambam's end of it. Okay. We're holding the last line on Daf Ayin Dalet Amid Beis, and we're talking a lot today about the Mon, because we learned the Inui of Yom Kippurim. We learned from Vayancha ve'erevecha v'yachilcha samon. And last week we spoke all about the Maimah from the Rebbe from Vayancha ve'erevecha v'yachilcha. Mujid the Maimah from Tovshan Chavches. But let's go straight into the Gemara. It's like the Gemara. What says Kitim b'koiseina yisalach meishon. A person who puts his eye into the kois, into the liquor, into what's in his kois, wine, liquor, everything is straight to him. What does it mean? Everything is straight to him? When a person is drunk, everything is straight. Everything seems straight. Huh? Uh-huh. The koise aroyes kulam damel of kimisha. That everything is kosher to him, even to sleep with an erva is kosher to him. That's what happens when a person puts himself so much into drinking. A person that gets so involved in drinking, into liquor, not only is aroyas straight to him, but furthermore, he runs out of money. But since he really has to drink, and he's addicted to it, so what happens? He starts stealing, and as we know in today's society, that's what happens when people get addicted to drugs and to alcohol. Everything is kosher to him, and he'd even go and steal from other people. Rashi says, it says in the pasuk, there's two ways of learning it. The pasuk, it says if you have a daiga, it's yasichen or yashichena, because you don't have the kudus in the pasuk. So either you read it's yasichena or you read yashichena, and then it says dover tov yisamchena. So this, it's exactly the yom yom. You should forget about it. But some Mefarshim say, because the pasuk says v'dover tov yisamchena, how do you forget about your worries? Start learning Torah and just don't forget about your worries. Talk to other people, and that's the pshat. The other people will give you good eitzes, and will listen to you. The Rashi says Shem Yasu Eitza Tova, but the Tzemach Tzedek Brodna Yom said that when you talk to another friend, it doesn't mean that you're talking stam la'achedim. You're talking to a good friend that achedim beguf are one with you in the neshama. The Mefarshim say that the two pirushim go in one. That when a person has daigus in their own mind, they can go crazy from it, because it's sitting and ruminating in their own mind. But when you have a chaver, a good chaver, that you could trust, and you share with that chaver what is on your heart, so then you could get rid of the daigus, you could throw it out from your mind, So the Meforshim say that Bami and Rabasi complement each other. Yasi chena v'yashi chena. How you masiach das to forget about your daigas when you talk to another Jew, who is a different body but it's same neshama and cares for you. So then that helps alleviate the pain, and the person can forget about his daigas. Nochosh offer lachmer, Rabbi Rabasi. Since we're already talking about Rabasi, we have a few droshes. It says that the Nochosh, his bread is offer. Kadamar, the pasuk is trying to emphasize whatever he eats, the snake, everything to him tastes like offer. He could taste the steak. Steak tastes like steak, but he never is satisfied unless he eats a little bit of sand. If someone gets you angry and you have the power to take revenge, most people are just going to keep on taking revenge. Whatever they could do, they'll do. And they'll do, and they'll do, and they'll do, and they'll do. If they could spit on their enemy, they'll spit. And if they could step on them, they'll step on them. If they could push them, they could push them. If they hit them, they could hit them. If they could throw them down, they'll throw them down. Obviously, I'm not talking physically. I'm talking spiritually, and also physically. Midas Basa Badam is that Magnet is Chavedo, a guy angers his friend. He will do whatever he could to make his Chava became his enemy. So his now new enemy, he'll make his life miserable. He'll be Yored L'chayav. What does it? Comes his nemesis. When he gave a punishment, but what can if you think there's two sides of the curse? In the one hand, he eats sand, and the other hand, his food is available everywhere. When Noach cursed his youngest son Canaan, what happened? That the young son Canaan either scoffed at his father or cut off his father's private parts, and his father cursed him that he should be an Eved. So obviously Noach was an Avi, and it was with God's word. So Kilol is Canaan. So he gave him a curse that he'll be a slave. Or Canaan, Eved Lavodim, right? So Oichel Masherab, Oichel B'Shoyse, Masherab B'Shoyse. The din is that the master has to give a slave from his own food. So even though there was a curse to Canaan, but with that came something that he should always have what to eat and drink. Kilol is Isha. God cursed the woman. And the Eibishter, and so it had to do with birth, and with now that there is a discharge from her body, that's an unholy discharge, which, if you think about it, the Mishnah says that Kedera Malaya Tzora Upia Molidam, the woman should be totally unattractive to male. So why are men running after women? Because the Eibishter made in the DNA of a man, he put in that men are attracted to women. So Kilulus Isha, he cursed the woman, but still he made that that everyone is running after her. Kilulus Adama Hakal Nizanim Himena. So the Meforshim, the Bali Musa say from here we learn a lesson. Even if you think that someone deserves a punishment, the Midas Bas Vadan is that they be Yored L'chayav. If you think someone deserves a punishment, or someone deserves a sharp board, that they stepped on your toes and you have to tell them something, okay. So if you feel that that's the right thing, you have to tell them, and otherwise it'll go on and it'll be worse and worse and worse. You have to tell them, but you don't have to be yored l'chaya. Well, that's what the Eibusha teaches us. The woman needed to be cursed; she was cursed, but the snake. But it wasn't the way to be yored l'chaya. The same thing a person should learn from this. Pasuk says, the Jews, when they complained to Moshe Rabbeinu, they said, "Zacharno es adoga asher nechel l'matayim b'chinam eis hakishuyim ve'es avatichim ve'es hachotzir ve'es habetzolim ve'es hashumim." Wow, Egypt was such a good country. We had so much good food to eat here. So, what's the pshat? Was Egypt taka so good? Well, they really had so much hummus and falafel and shawarma. Was it really that good? Rav Shmuel, Chad Omar Dogim. When they said they remembered the dogger, they meant literally fish. Mitzrayim had a lot of rivers, and there was a lot of fish. And when they worked as slave, the cheapest food to give them was fish, and they ate a lot of fish. Chad Omar Arayis, that the Torah is using a clean language, and it meant that they had a lot of arayis. They were able to sleep with women, which later the Torah said is forbidden to sleep with.
But why they said chinam? They work, the slave.
That's what the Gemara is going to discuss now. Man, that's what the Gemara is going to say. Man damar dogim ksiv noicha. We ate. So when a person sleeps with a woman, he doesn't eat the woman. Noicha, he ate. Daf ayin hey amid aleph. Daf ayin hey amid aleph. The big line right over here. The first word of the biggest lines. The amar dogim. The chsiv noichel, we ate. Man damar aroyes, that we're talking about sleeping. The chsiv chinam, which it says chinam. So what do you mean? When they got the fish, wasn't chinam. They were slaves, and even if they went fishing, it's also not chinam. You work hard to get the fish. So chinam means when a person has to find a woman that's kosher to sleep with him, that's expensive. But if he could sleep with all his relatives, so he might have found a relative in the house that will agree to sleep with him. It's chinam, it's free. So the Gemara is going to ask for each opinion the other one. If you're going to say it's arayis, it says noichel. So Gemara the Torah always uses a clean language, like the ksiv, but it says about a woman who is a zoin. She ate, she wiped her mouth. I did nothing wrong. We're not talking about bread and the mouth. We're talking about a different place in the body. She slept with someone, and then she wiped herself up, and then she has the chutzpah to say, and I did nothing wrong. Like we see by Yosef Tzadik, so we see that the Torah uses a lashon naki, a clean language. And Amar dogim by chinam. What's up shot chinam by dogim? Either they were slaves, so they got food that wasn't free, and if they went fishing, again, it's not free. They went fishing, they worked hard. So the Gemara answers, have a when the Jews used to take buckets of water to drink, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mazmeh lahem dogim ketanim b'chadeim. The Eibushter made that there were little fishies that would end up in their buckets, and then from the fish they had extra nutrition. And the Farshim say that one of the things that help the person have a lot of zera is dogim ketanim, and from this they was able to have a lot of little children.
To eat sardine.
Right? Yeah.
How come we don't have there?
Okay, maybe not dogim ketanim. I don't know if we know which dogim ketanim we're talking about. Bishlam Damar dogim avalaroyes. So if you're going to say the opinion that they had dogim and now they don't have dogim, I understand they're crying. Avalaroyes is loy pritzabu. But that opinion says fish they were missing, but sleeping with women that it doesn't make sense to sleep with, that opinion says no, it's not true. The Yidden were not pots. And that Jewish women were locked. They only slept with people they're allowed to sleep with. So the Gemara says not a shayla. Whatever they were allowed to, they didn't sleep with women they're not allowed to sleep with. It's just that Bnei Noach, there's very few women they're not allowed to sleep with. Bnei Noach is allowed to sleep with almost any woman. There's only very few aroyas for her. So before they got the Torah, it was much easier for them. If they were complaining about aroyas, so now understand the pasuk says what do you mean boichel mishpachosav? Because they were boicha about the family purity, that now they have to keep all these difficult mitzvahs. They're not allowed to sleep with all kinds of women that till then they were sleeping with. Alamando Amar Dogim, that they Pasha complained about the dog, and my Boichel Mishpachoisa. So the Gemara says, Nishkan Shaila, Hava. According to this opinion that they cried about the fish, so they once cried about the fish, and the other time they cried about not being able to sleep with the women that they used to sleep with in Mitzrayim, because now the Torah gave them a whole set of rules of family purity. So, but the other opinion says that no, that they always cried about the same thing. And they said Zacharna Sadogo, they were crying about the women. And when they said it meant they're always crying about the same thing. That's the machloikis. But they were for sure always crying about aroyis. The question is if they were also crying about dogim. Pasuk says Isak Shum Vesavatichim. Bemon. That whatever you wanted to taste in the Ta'amon, you could taste. These 5 things, which is Kishuim, Avtichim, Chotzer, Betzal, Meshumim, these 5 things, they never tasted in the mon.
We're talking about Mitzrayim, the Kishuim.
Right.
Not about the
so they said, in Mitzrayim, we had...
That's what it said. The man doesn't have the thing.
We had, in other words, what you think, that only these 5 food they had in Mitzrayim, besides these 5 foods, they never ate anything else in Mitzrayim. So the Rabbi and Rabbi said both, that they had other foods in Mitzrayim, but those foods they could taste in the mon. But these 5 foods you can never taste in the mon. Chadamar, within this there was a little machloikis, that Chadamar, Tam Kolaminim Tomun, Tamanu Mamosh. One says that everything they could have Tamu Mamosh. That they could have the taste, but not the kilo the mamoshes. And the other one says there was nothing in it. The question is, in the mon, they couldn't taste these 5 things. Could they not taste it, or could not taste it in a way of mamosha? But they couldn't taste it.
What Mamasha? Not real?
Like
They
could have a little, all the other things, the mamish, if you vanilla ice cream, it was mamish. Yeah, it was mamish. It tastes like vanilla. Time and mamash. But if you wanted kishuyim, you had a little bit of time, but like my mamash. In other words, said no. Kishuyim 000. Loy time and like my mamash. And we learned once a sikha on this, a moire de sikha. Moire de sikha. The Rashi brings in Chumash. The Rashi brings that chinam. The Rashi brings that chinam means chinam in mitzvahs. Rashi says that Kilo, there were 2 different complaints that the Yidden had. The Pashup Pshat that all the Meforshim say is that they had a complaint. I mean, like we had in the Gemara. According to the Gemara, one opinion said they complained about the fish. So besides the fish, there was 5 vegetables that they said kishuyim, avatichim, shumim, betzalim. These 5 things, and the chotzer, they were complaining. So all in all, they were complaining about 6 things: 1 protein and 5 vegetables. But the Rashi says that there were 2 separate complaints. Chinam means chinam in mitzvahs. That in Mitzrayim we didn't have to do mitzvahs, and now we eat mon, and mon is involved with a lot of mitzvahs. But in general, after Matan Torah, when the Yid gets brachas from the Eibishter, it's in B'chukoyse Teileichu. When it's totally doing mitzvahs. And befrat the mon, there was a lot of mitzvahs involved with the mon. So it wasn't stam, it wasn't chinam. There was certain mitzvahs they needed to do involving the mon. And the second complaint was that these 5 vegetables they can't taste in the mon. And Rashi says that these words, Omer of Shimon, this is Rashi is an explanation of the Sifri. Omer of Shimon, Nema Mon Mishtana L'Chol Dava Chutz Me'elim Neshem Koshim Le'Minakes Omerim Le'Isha Al Toich L'Shum Botzol L'Pnei Atinik. That's what Rashi brings in the Chumash, not in the Rashi in the Gemara. It's Rashi in the Chumash. That he says that's what Rashi says. And the truth is that Rebbe says if you look in the Sifri, that's not what the Sifri says. The Sifri says that there was a child that went to school, and the pedagogue gave him to eat lunch and supper, breakfast, lunch, and supper, like in the Masifta and Ala Torah, the Beis Medrash and Ala Torah. And there were certain foods that he would never give to the boy. The boy said, "I'd like to eat it," the teacher or the cook in the school said, no, we don't serve that. It's unhealthy. So the kid always complains, the healthy schmelthy. You don't want to give it to me. I want salami and you don't want to give me salami because you're cheapskate. You want to give me the bad stuff. So that's the mashal. And Rashi changes it. Either Rashi had a different gis or a different way of it. But Rashi says a different thing that Shimon Bar Yochai said that the reason the Eibusha didn't give it to the Jews, the taste, these 5 things, not because they're unhealthy, which is true, by the way. The Gemara says kishurim is koshin laguf lecharovis, that kishurim is not healthy. But but that's the simple pshat in the Sefer, that the Eibusha didn't give them the taste of these 5 things because it's unhealthy. But Rashi said no, it's healthy. But for a pregnant, a nursing woman, for a minekes, it's not healthy. Why is it Rashi learning it that way? The Rebbe is an unbelievable pshat. This is the Rebbe's whole thing. Pshat, pshuta shamekra. If the Jews were complaining like a baby, they want to have salami and ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and supper. And Moshe Rabbeinu should have said, listen, guys, you want to live till 40, 42 and a half and then die from a heart attack, drop dead in the middle of the midbar, or you want to live to be 80 or 100. Tell me, what do you guys want to do? So Moshe Rabbeinu didn't say that. Why didn't he say it? And why the Yidden? From all the Yidden, now one man or a woman would chap to say that it doesn't make sense to complain that God doesn't. There are 5 things, everything you can taste in them on. And there are 5 foods that are unhealthy. God thinks it's unhealthy, so He doesn't want to put in them on. Either Taiman is not healthy, or even Taiman Umamoshan, or even just Taiman is not healthy. It's not healthy. Everybody shouldn't put in. So why are the Jews complaining? And if they're complaining, why is not Moshe answering? To stop complaining. He doesn't want you to die from unhealthy foods. Therefore, Rashi doesn't like that pshat from Shuta Shamika. Therefore, Rashi says that really these 5 foods are healthy. It's fine in a balanced diet. You can eat it. It's not a problem. But for Isha Minekes, it's not healthy. Just for Isha Minekes. So the Jews complained. They said, hey, I'm not a woman, B'chlal. And my wife right now is not a Minekes. And if she is a Minekes, whatever, let her jump in the lake. I want to eat Kishurim. Why can't I eat Kishurim? Oh, that's a complaint. Now you can hear people kvetching and complaining. If you say that the pshat is like the simple pshat in the Sefer, that it's kacharovis laguv, like the mashal of the pedagogue, that the child wants to eat salami and ice cream and waffles for breakfast, and he doesn't let the child have it, and the Yidden were like that child complaining why we can't have chocolate and candy for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Because these 5 things are charovas leguf and the Eibush held their backs. It doesn't make sense. They have shuta shemikra that all the people should complain, and Moshe has nothing to answer. They had a different complaint. Because a few women are nursing, so let them not eat it when they're nursing it. Big deal. So what is the answer? The answer is if Shimon. That's why the Rebbe always said that if Shimon, when the Rashi wants to answer something for Talmud Lemulach, is meramas by bringing the name of the Baal HaMaimer, which over here is Shimon Bar Yochai. What do we know about Shimon Bar Yochai that's unique over other Amoraim and Tanoim? And Shimon Bar Yochai said, Yochanan in Miftas kol oil kulam en adin. Miyom sheberosei v'adati, del mole loza b'ni imi, miyom shenivre v'adachshu, del mole yotzim ben yozio imanu, miyom shenivre elam v'adzoifu. And we see that he had this unbelievable chshivas to one person. And furthermore, Pi Halacha, the din is that Reb Shimon holds that Azlin and Basa Miyuta, and we go with the miyut. We're choshish for the miyut. So Reb Shimon said, what are you talking about? So true, not every person in the camp is a woman, and not every woman is pregnant, and not every woman is nursing a baby right now. But chashin el miyuta. One person is yochel lifter. We have to look at the chashivas of every single Jew. So if people can eat it and it's delicious, and they're all talking about how delicious it is, and this woman is going to have a taiva, she's going to want to eat it. So she'll also be machavim when she eats the mon to eat the kishuin, but it's going to damage her baby. So if no one could have it, so no one can have it. She doesn't even have a taiva to have it. It doesn't exist. A woman, it says Aisha Muberes Shehirich. She smelled something. She walks by a treifa restaurant, and it becomes it's sakon. We say sakonas naposha. We're going to learn later in this Perek. We say feed it if she has a craving. Don't want forget about it. Just feed it to her. But if she doesn't smell it, she doesn't see it. She doesn't hear of it. It's not existent. It's not around. It's not around. It's not around. You can't have a taiva for something that's near the end of the world. It's not around. It's not around. She doesn't have any craving for it. So the people are complaining. The Torah is bringing out how they're complaining for nothing. Because they were complaining. They said, we love to have dogo, shumim, tzolim. What do you mean? We have with herring. What do you got? Herring, you like with some onions, herring. But lapoil, shumim, tzolim are not good for a woman who's nursing. So Rav Shimon says the Eibusha took it away. These 5 things the Eibusha said you can't have. You could be mechavan when you eat the month to have vanilla ice cream, chocolate ice cream, whatever you like. You can have pizza, you can have falafel, you can have french fries, you can have shawarma, whatever you like. You could have chatzalim, you could have. But these 5 things you can't have because we want to protect the Isha Menika. We see the chshivas that we have for every individual Jew for his safety.
Who was this complainer? Was what? Like,
What they complain?
You need to wait 6 hours.
That's a good question. Zog the Gemara.
Where's the Rashi?
This Rashi is in Chumash. It's a Chumash. No. The Rashi is over there in Baloischa. In Baloischa, it's a Charnas Adogo. It's Baloischa Yud Aleph Hey.
A little bit hard to understand. There's some physical food. The mind, the lady, mind this one is good, and the mind this is not good.
Right, that's why the Machlok is Rabbi Rabbi said Taima Mamosha. One of the opinions holds that if she tasted it Mama's Taima Mamosha, that would be dangerous. But just Taima Balbad wouldn't be dangerous. The other opinion holds
What's in the head?
it's in the head.
Because you eat physical sense.
Yeah. Zog the Gemara.
What period?
We're holding
What period?
the again. The truth is, you can look right over here. It's Bamidbar Yud Aleph Hey.
Where's that in the Gemara?
If you don't have the Torah, it's in the anyway. It's Bamidbar Yud Aleph Hey. It's in the side. Already.
Yeah, okay.
Bamidbar Yud Aleph Hey. Let's continue quickly.
Okay, where are we up to?
We're up to Daf Ayin Hey Omet Aleph, and in the jumbo lines, 8 lines from the top. The first word is Mamoshin. Valam lo tam and v'loy Mamoshin. Says Amon Kizera Gad Lovan V'Tayim Mayom Rebasi Ogul. It says Kizera Gad. Gad means it was like something which was Ogul, Kigida. The Lovan Kimargolis. That's why it's Kizera Gad Lovan. It was round and white. Tanya Namachik is Gad Shazem Lazera Pishlam, which is Begivel, which is round. Gad Shadem La Goda Shemeshechas Liba Shalodam Kamaim. It draws the person's heart. Tanya God Shemagilam Soli Ben Tishalishim Ben Shivalachim. It told every person with the baby, if a woman was with a man, then she married another man and was a shaila with this baby balloon. Really, we're supposed to wait 90 days. This way she knows. But what's if she didn't wait 90 days? And now we don't know if the baby is from the first father, the second, who fathered the baby. So it would be very simple, as the Gemara would say later. We'd see where the mon arrives, to whose house. Every person got a portion of mon. So if the first husband got at his door, at the door of his tent, an extra portion of mon, it's his baby. And so we knew if it's ben leishna ben la'acheren, lovin shemal ben aben esem she'yisrael, to whiten the sins of the Eden. There's a lot of meporshim here, but I think the poshtup shot could be simple. If you know, if a woman knew she's going to sleep with a man, then she's going to have a baby with this man, the mon is going to come to the door of the man. She probably only sleep with her husband. Because so that's Pshat Malvin, Avoin Esem Shel Yisrael. That was Chatchila never did any sin.
It was calm was then.
Tanya Reb Yossi, Shem She'anovi, Hoy Maglam Nisrael, Masha B'chor, Masha B'zdakin. Just like a Novi could tell the Jew what's going on in Churim B'zdakin, Kach, and Amon Maglam Nisrael, Masha B'chor, Masha B'zdakin, Keitza. Shnam Shabol of Nemosh Ledin. Zaimer Avdi Gonafta. Zaimer Atamachartali. It's my slave. No, it's my slave.
No,
sold it.
he sold it.
Yeah, he sold it to me. So the bottom line is, Reuben says it's my slave, and Shimon says my slave. Moshe says, if the oimer of the slave is bebeis Rabbi Yerishin, B'yidush is a gneive, im nimtza emre beis Rabbi Shena. B'yidush is a macherloi. Where's the man? Where's the man? The man is by Reuven's door. The slave belongs to him. The man is by Shimon's door. The slave belongs to him. She's making trouble in the marriage. Here I met it. So each one says the other guy's making trouble. I'm not. I'm trying to make shalom bayis. He's making trouble. Moshe says, "Laboiker mishpat lamacher im nimtza oimra beveis baila." If so, that means biyadua. She's sarchlav. She's making trouble. Mitzad him, he's a good guy. She could stay his wife, and he would love to work things out with her. She's a troublemaker. Nimtza oimra beveis avia. Biyadua shehu sarach. He's the troublemaker. What could she do? He'll divorce her anyway. And he's hacking chang. He's throwing sand.
Whatever mean.
The food. Where's her food? See, beredes atal ala machen aloy lo yede dem monolog. See, beyutz am veloktu, beyetza am veloktu. See, beshoto am veloktu. So one pasuk it's mashma that it went into the mach. The other one it's outside the machana. But you just have to v'yotzi. You just go out and you find it. And the third pasuk says beshotu. Shotu means they went very far. Okay, tzadikim yored al pesach beteim. Tzadikim, the one went by their door. Ben yotza veloktu. Rishayim shotu veloktu. See. There's three expressions. Okay, it's tzadikim lechem, and for them it's the bain and the ugois, and they have to prepare it. The pasuk says the dochem dochem reviewed them at temer reb chama berepchinen malamet shor lahem Yisrael imamon tachshitei noshim dovish nidach b'maducha. That's why it was something that you could chop up in a maducha, and women like to have perfume. So they were able, and those days they used to put the perfume, hang it on them. So that came also with the mon. The tachshitim over here doesn't mean jewelry in the form of gold and silver and diamonds. It means that they used to hang on their neck, or they used to hang like a charm. And inside there was a different type of besamim that had a good smell. Because they didn't have Chanel or such fancy companies that knew how to make a spritz that you can put on your hand and it lasts for 6-7 hours. The only way a good smell can last on a woman for a long time is if they carry it. And that's the pshat. Tachshitei nafshin. That was a nidach b'meducha, and they put it into the charm and they smelled good to their husbands. That they together with the man they also got spices. That says that they brought to Moshe Rabbeinu burn the doves until Moshe Rabbeinu said there's already too much. My baboiker Amr Shmuel bar Nachmani Amr B'Yonis Medavar Shiur lahem baboiker. Whatever they get every morning, what they get every morning. Malamet Shord lam Yisrael avonim tovus amargolius imamon. That they got with them on Avon Tevis Margolis.
Still complain.
Exactly. It says when the Nasiim AVU as Avnei Hashem Tana. There was a Tana that learned that the Nasiim over here doesn't mean the leaders of the Jewish people. Nasiim could also mean clouds. That from the clouds they pushed God. V'cheinu Omer and Nasiim Beruach v'Geshem Oyen. So we see that over there the pasuk talking about that there is clouds, but there's a curse and there's no rain. But we see the word Nasiim could mean clouds. That from the clouds came out the mon, and from the mon came out Avon Tevis and Margolius. It says, "Voy time ketam la shat shaman." Omer Rabo match at zet tinok time bokam time him af Amon holds manchi so eichlen boy moitzen boy come time. That just like a baby when it drinks the mother's milk, there's all kinds of time. Depends what the mother ate. If the mother ate one type of oichel, it'll taste that way. If the mother ate a different type of oichel, it'll taste that way. It's the same thing. The Yidden, they could taste any type of food in The mon, Ikadamri, a little different. Said that a shed could mean the mother's goof, which gives milk, and shed could mean malach, which is a malach mazik. Shed mashed, a masapach lakamagvonim. It could one day he could be purple, and one day is red, one day is a man, one day is a woman. The shade could be misapach to all kinds of things. Afamom misapach l'kaim time, it's misapach to all kinds of things. If just to go back to an akuda that we learned last week in the Moed de Kemaimer, that the Rebbe said, "Vayancha vayarivecha vayachilcha samon asher lo yodatem lo yodna v'secha." That the two nekudas is one nekuda is that the mon had every taste in it. Why? Because it's something which is physical. If it's a table, it's not a chair. If it's a chair, it's not a table. If it's a liquid, it's not solid. If it's solid, it's not liquid. If it's milk, it's not orange juice. If it's orange juice, it's not milk. But something which is godly is believable. You can't say it's this and not that. And therefore, because this was godly food, as we'll say it's late in the Gemara, that it didn't even have any soya. Regular food, there is the energy that's in the food. And then the body takes out the good stuff, and then there's the bad stuff that goes in the bathroom. There's no use for the goof, so the goof throws it out. Shenkin the man was lechem abidim orchel. You should say that the Gemara is going to soon say was holy food. It was spiritual food. It didn't have any soya because it was only good. There was nothing not good in it. So it was the kedusha was so much. It wasn't limited. You could taste in it anything and everything. But the other side of the man is that, as the Gemara said before, and the Gemara is going to say again later, that it made people very hungry. Why very hungry? Because every day they got a new portion, and they never had anything left in their pantry. A person looks at his pantry, and he has 5 children sleeping at night, and he opens the pantry, and there's 0 food. There's a person's fadaiget. That's why it was vayancha vayarivecha vayachilcha saman. It was re'ava. It was hungry. It was only hungry if a person is disconnected and he's looking. But if a person is betochen and the Eibishter, he knows he's getting it. He gets what he needs. So therefore, the same thing that teaches us in our life, that a person is anxious because it's a chisaron not in what he has in his pantry. It's a chisaron in his betochen. If a person has absolute bitochen, he has nothing to be anxious about. Maybe a person's calm. Oh, I have a pantry full. What do you know? An asteroid's going to come and hit you in a second. What are you so calm about? The other guy is all anxious because his pantry is empty. What are you anxious about? The Rabbi Shlomo has plenty to give. So a person that was disconnected from Hashem, it was a Inuit. He can't see what he's eating. With the taste, and he doesn't have food in the pantry. But the upside, someone that was connected to the Eibishter was always besimcha, because he knew he's always going to have what he needs. As the Gemara says later, it was a big mile, didn't have to carry the food. The Gemara is going to ask later, why didn't the Eibishter make that they should have the food maybe once a year, once a month, once a week? Then they have to carry it. It's a big tircha. Well, there's no tircha. They get it by yoim b'yoim, fresh. What says another mile was cham. You don't have to worry about it. So a person that was
well packaged,
and it's well packaged good, and it's geschmack. So a person that had Amuna and the Eibishter, and the Mela had Bitochen and the Eibishter. So not only wasn't it a Meichel oven, but it was the geschmacks the Meichel. It was Bligvul, had everything in it. And so it depends how a person that they complained because they were disconnected. But those Yidden that were connected, the tzaddikim faket, it was for them the best thing in the world. Let's continue.
So they had so much.
Because they were so into the mon. Thank you very much. They only wanted to eat the mon. As we can say the Gemara soon. Thank you very much. The Gemara says that they could buy behemoths from the goyim, but they didn't want to because they wanted to eat only the mon.
Wasn't the one? I remember wearing wearing that he tasted whatever you wanted.
That's what we just learned, no?
Right. So why about those 5 things?
Because those 5 things are not healthy.
No, but I'm saying they knew Hashem told Moshe, but he told me Israel, they don't find it.
I guess they tried. They pressed all the buttons. Vanilla, it went. Chocolate, went.
To see in their mind.
The leche, it went. Ketchup, went.
So that's what they, those five.
Those side, they pressed the button,
No matter what.
and it didn't go.
It didn't taste right, even if they wanted.
Even if they wanted, it didn't go.
Where would they get the meat from?
We'll talk about it in a second, the meat.
So,
The people who really don't have money, they have a little sandwich that they eat it, they're so happy and enjoying it.
Yeah.
The people who have a lot of money and eat a big steak, this.
They don't do it.
Well done, this.
Yeah.
You're already eating the steak, but it's
Yeah.
not well done, it's not salty, it's not,
Yeah.
you can't enjoy it.
but I think why not?
At Taka, we talk about it in a second. Basar lechel v'lechem baboikel is boya. Keine mich mit dem Schumacher, the Basar scholisch like on the like again. They complain they want Basar. That was shaloike hoige. Who needs Basar? You have what to eat. You have what to eat. So therefore, the Eibishter gave them the Basar lechel. He gave it to them by night, which is
Not healthy.
yeah. And it's also when you get it by day, you have a time to shecht it and to salt it and to roast it, and you have it for dinner. But if you get it by night, what are you going to do? You're going to shecht the salt and have it for breakfast. So it's, they got it in a way that's shaloi kahoigen. Lechem sheshol kahoigen, nicht lam kahoigen. They can't lim the Torah derech eretz shelo yochel adam basar ala balayla. No time to eat is balayla.
And then it's then in your stomach.
No, balayla doesn't mean at midnight, right? V'amar when the v'amar Rabbi Haiman the East place sudas ala rech ala biyamama came in the yamama either as the sun sets or when the light is on. That when the Jews went into the desert, they were like chickens, that they eat and eat, they graze the whole time. Moshe ben made the Shabia as man Suda, that they shouldn't graze the whole time.
Okay, that's the way the chicken eat.
They eat and eat and eat.
When there's light, you eat. When it's sundown, you stop eating, going to sleep.
And then the whole day they eat.
So in Israel, all over the world, they know that they put light in the cage, so the chicken eat 24 hours. Not in the weeks, chicken.
Yeah, that's exactly. It says that the Eibishter punished those people that complain they want meat. It says, and they died. See, but the other pasuk it says that the Eibishter said them, they're going to have meat till a month. So the Eibishter said they're going to have meat for a month, and then they died in 30 seconds. So then they never had meat for a month. So the Gemara answers, okay, it's at those that were half complainers, half not, they died right away, so they shouldn't have to have any pain. The Shoyim et Stein v'holchim at said vayishtochu omer v'shlokish al tikra vayishtochu ala vayishchotu. Melamed shenischayvu sanem shesol shchita. That because he didn't complain, that Rahman al-Islan, they deserve the terrible punishment. It says that Shotoyach, Mishmeid Rishur ben Korcha, Al Tikra Shotoyach, Ella, Shoch, Lamet Shor Lahem, Lisol, Imamon, Dabat, Shoton, Shchita. That with the man they already got things that, and what was that? The Slav, that the Slav needed to have Shchita. Amr Rebbe, Bechimikanat Alamad, where you need a special plan the words in the pasuk to know that you have to shech a chicken when you eat it. It says that they got a oif kanaf. A Slav was a oif. It wasn't like a Martian that came from Mars. It was an oif. It was a certain type of bird. It's a certain type of bird. V'tanya Rebbe Yomer v'zavachta kasher tzivisicha. And this is the Rambam we recently learned.
Today.
Exactly.
Today, I'm talking about chicken.
Right. Today, with the Kitzadam that's coming out of the Vesh and the Konin. In general, the Rambam for the past week.
So they all was
some of them at least knew because Moshe Rabbeinu taught them. So what do you need to have a special pasuk over here playing the words? Shetoyach means shchita. Obviously, if they got Slav, they needed to shechten. Nemesis, you have to. I understand why the Gemara is asking this because we learned through in the Rambam this week. I was learning in the Rambam that Nemesis, when they were in the desert, there was no mitzvah zvicha. They were allowed to kill a bird or an animal any way they wanted in order to eat it. The mitzvah shechita only started when they went into Eretz Yisrael. So I don't know if maybe this Gemara didn't hold that way. The Gemara is like getting upset, saying, we said that the slav is shatoyach, and we darshan shechita. Oh, wow. You need a special pasuk to tell me the slav needs shechita? I mean, obviously, you can't eat something without shechita. But according to the Rambam, you're allowed to eat without shechita until they went into Eretz Yisrael. I don't know. Right, the bonus had to check. Zog the Gemara, Mata Malay Shatoyach, Malama Charla Mashtichem Mashtichem. Shatoyach means that they got unbelievable. There was an article, Chabad in Eretz Yisrael, this beautiful thing, Sichat HaShavua, America. They have another magazine called Chaim. So this year they had in Baloisko, they had a Frum guy in a Frum kibbutz that his expertise is Slav. His expertise is Slav, and he raises in the kibbutz. He's in charge of the animals, but especially Slav. He sings Shabbos with a lot of kavana, barbunim Slav v'dogim, and interesting thing about the Slav is that they have very little wings, and when they are in the migration and they land in different places, so the problem is that they are so out of energy that they just sit there, and at that time you could collect hundreds and thousands, and they have very little power to resist to being captured. So interesting lesson. So the Gemara about the ksiv lechem ksiv shemen ksiv dvash. It says about mon lechem. Some places shemen says dvash. It depends. For young people, they need to have lechem. So it was lechem. Skainim, they need to have shemen. It was shemen. Tinoikas like to have dvash. It was dvash. See, Slav, Slav. You could say shlav or slav. Shin or sin. There's no nakudis in the pasuk.
I don't understand one thing. Tinokot Vash. Nowadays, you cannot give the babies Vash.
Vash. I hear. Maybe those Vash are different. I don't know.
Should make 2 stones.
Right.
They
It said
one
that
is Vash, one is
right. So I guess see Slav, Karina Slav. So either you say it's a shin or a sin. Amar Reb Chanina, Tzadikim Echel Nasu B'Shal V'Shem Ha'isen Moitz V'Dem Kisli. That for Tzadikim Taka they ate the Slav. It was good. It was delicious. The Shoyim, for them it was like poison. Amar Reb Chanina Bar Ova Dalet Min Slav Hem Be'Eloim Sichli B'Kivli V'Tziuni V'Slav Al Yedekulu Sichli Giriu Nekulu Slav. Has 4 types, and the Slav is actually from the lower ones. It's tiny little bird, and they're not. It's not very big. But when you put it in the tanur, the tofach ba'ava mol tanura, that it's so full of fat that it's delicious. It's dripping with fat all over the tanur. And when you put it, you could put it on 13 loaves of bread, and it leaks with so much schmaltz that they're so delicious, these loaves of bread, that even the loaf of bread is so delicious, it's so much full of schmaltz, that you can't just eat the piece of bread like this. You have to eat it with vegetables or something. You can't. It's so rich that you can't even eat the lowest loaf of bread plain. That's how delicious the Slav is. The Yehuda, rich they are with fat. The Yehuda mishtakach bei doni. That we see the Gemara says stories of different Amayroim that the Eibishter was mazma for them this delicious Slav free of charge every day. The Yehuda would find them between his barrels of wine. With the wood was every day he would bring him. We'd find in his field a couple of them. One day he didn't bring him any Slav. What's going on? He went to the roof of his house. Shamali and Huka, he heard a little child that's learning a pasuk. Which was the pasuk? He heard the child learn Shamati Vatirgas Bitni. Oh, when he heard that pasuk, he knew it was a message from heaven. Reb Chizda was his father-in-law, and the Rabbi married the daughter of Reb Chizda, and he said, "Bedil Rabba Ochel Talmida because of he said it must have been that in the schus of his Rebbe he was eating every day delicious love, and because his Rebbe passed away, that's why this love stopped coming. So what's going on? The tal, where is it going? That first there was the tal would go on the ground, so the tal protected it from on top and the bottom, that it was clean. It's like, like bakbuk, like word in Hebrew, bakbuk. There's certain words that they mean why the way they sound, like buk, buk, buk. So the Reb Shloki says that's a pshat. Mechus pas. That it mach pas that you have to go like this. It wasn't very hard to. There was a little peel on it to keep it clean, but it wasn't very hard to take it off. Mechuspa means davar shenivla b'masayim v'arba'im shmona evarim. The Gemara, what do you mean? The Gemara thought it was a numerical value. Mechuspa stuvahav amar nachem mitzvah mechuspa ksiv without above, and that's taka 248. That it didn't have to go to the bathroom after they ate the month. You should say the shmalachim lechem shmalach sharataychom as the Rabbi Akiva. The Rabbi Akiva said that the man was the type of food that the malachim eat. So Akiva, he said, how could you say that the malachim eat and the Yidden late lechem abirim, the same type of food that the malachim eat? Malachim don't eat. Lechem shenivla b'masayim v'arboim shmona evorim. It's lechem abirim. It's lechem that goes into the evorim. You don't have to go to the bathroom. The truth is, in the face of it, it's a very funny exchange between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva. Did Rabbi Shmuel for one moment think that Rabbi Akiva to get trach, that Malachi Ashora sit up there and they eat burgers, that they eat frankfurters, and Rabbi Shmuel needed to send a special message to Rabbi Akiva to say, Rabbi Akiva, please, take it easy. Malachi Ashoras don't eat frankfurters, they don't eat hamburgers. And the main stars, that's a pshat. So obviously that's not the pshat. It's agadat shebetoiris. Obviously, this is soy the satoira genuzim, but it's obvious that what Rabbi Akiva meant was there was a spiritual food. There was a spiritual food. It was a spiritual food. It was spiritual. So and the malachim eat a spiritual food, and that this was the Eden was spiritual. We know that the difference of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel, their Balak Lukta, and Rabbi Akiva is the Daga Balak Tshuva. Ben Gadim, when he was older, he got to learn Torah. Shmuel, as we know from the story of his mother, was at Sitkonis, was son. So he was a tzaddik. So it's the Chiddush. They're both talking about the spirituality of this food. There was spiritual food, but to Rabbi Shmuel, what was so special about this food is that there was nivla ba'evarim, that the 248 evarim of the Yid was kol kulei kodesh shel Dag is tzaddik, like we learn in Tanya, that kol eivereim kol yameim is a makova to the Eibishter. Every single eiver to him, like the story of the once the Rebbe told that the Rebbe Rashab was once hosted for Shavuos. Reb Chaim Briske, that was a story why he hosted him for Yom Tov, for Shavuos. So Suda, and he saw how the Rebbe Rashab was washing. The Rebbe Rashab's minhag was to wash 3 times each hand. So he asked him, "What's the mocker?" At that moment, the Rebbe Rashab didn't. Then the Rebbe Rashab showed him certain Rishonim that say it. But the Rebbe Rashab at that time said that for my bar mitzvah, I was margel my goof, and every eighver in my goof should do the Rotzna Kodesh Baruch Hu. So it's an unbelievable thing that a person would say about himself. Obviously, the Rebbe Rashab was not into, into Anovishal Sheker. That was the way he was. That he trained his goof. Later, he showed him which Rishonim say this, but the idea of tzaddikim is that they train every one of the 248 Evorim to be a makovah to the Eibishter. Not the pshat. The Rebbe Shalom wants to do it. Okay, fine. I want to do differently, but yeah, the Eibishter says I'll do it. That there is no other rots. Every Eiver, as soon as the Nefesh Elokis wants to give stock, and the hand is so excited to do the mitzvah and the raglaim and the yadayim. Yadam Achilak Tzedakah and the Raglaim Aholchem with Bar Mitzvah, and every he has such a chayis in every one of the 248 Evorim in an unbelievable way. That was the Maila that Rabbi Shmuel saw in the Mon, and also that there's no psoilus. So, in other words, that's a dagas tzaddikim. There's nothing. There's no psoilus. There's only kedusha. There's no psoilus is the opposite of kedusha. Something that has to be thrown out. It's something that has to be thrown away. But by the Bishmol, there was no. He saw the mile of the mon, which is bedagas tzaddikim. But Akiva saw the mile of the mon the way it is bedagas abali tshuva.
It said they need a bedroom, but one person said that they had a bedroom outside the mosque.
Oh, good question. Wow, you're machaven to the next question the Gemara asks. Perek the Gemara lamani mekayim v'yaset yela azanecho.
Well,
V'yaset yela azanech. Unbelievable. You're machaven to the next shar the Gemara. It's 7 lines from the bottom. Daf ayin hey amid beis. 8 lines from the bed. I'm sorry. V'yaset tia lecho ala zanecha. V'yatza Hashem achutz. See it?
yeah.
So Pasuk says that they had a shovel, and every soldier was chayiv to have it because the V'hoya Machanech Kodesh. It shouldn't be like by the goyim that they go behind the tree and they go here and there. So it's stinkt von aller Seiten. That Bayid has to be kedusha, and kedusha starts with cleanliness. So whatever you kalim or you kalim are hanging, there has to be that every single soldier had to have one yosed, which is a little shovel. So when he went to the bathroom, he shoveled some sand. He makes, and then he puts the sand on top of it. So we're now let's leave that aside. Just the main thing is Azanech is a place where you hang up the kalim. So how could there be? We said that there is no tzeya. So what does it mean? You want to answer? They ate regular food. Then in the desert there were Umas Island that came to sell things to Jews. They sold them regular stuff. Those things they'd have to go to the bathroom for, but the Mon they didn't have to go to the bathroom. No, that even those things the Mon would take care of everything. After they complained, that they have to go out of the machar and go to the bathroom. The place with that was so big that were 3 parasi. So a person, they had to go to the back of the machnas. The people that were in the front of the machnas, they couldn't go in the bathroom in the machnas. They go out of the machnas. So some people have to walk as far as 3 full parasos in order to go out of the machnas and to go to the bathroom.
You can hold it.
Yes. What's the pshat? They complain. In Koil Amro, Osid Monze Shetipach B'Meim, Kum Yesh Mudisha Shamachnis Ve'Einoi Moitzi. How could they complain? They said, how could a person not go to the bathroom? They didn't see the mile and the mon. Those that complain, the fact that it goes into the Evorim and there's no tzoya. Shenemre Evorim that made to be small. I'll take the Birim al Evorim. Dovish the Masayim ve'Arbos Mishman Evorim al Amon Masayim. It's a repeat of the Gemara. The Grotaka takes it out of the Gemara. Yeshua Shiur Leiman connected Kol Yisrael. That Ish is talking about Yeshua. When the Yidden, when Moshe had been over 40 days in the mountain, he waited for Moshe at the foot of the mountain.
What Yeshua eating what Moshe is of the Moshe
Wasn't-
can't eat what Yeshua eat.
Yeshua eats. Was that done? Ksiva Ocha Ish, Ksiva Ocha Kachel Fas Yeshua, mit dem Ish. Sag sehr Shav, Sharuch Boy, Beim Moshe. Ksiv Veho Ish Moshe, Ona Meoid, sag mal, Ish Midon and Ish Ish. Wenn dann Ish Me Veho Ish. Charlotte Minders, Yeshua Bechem, Ma, Loi Mo, Yordlam, Eli Yisrael, the Mom, Pamachel Bashana. Once a year they can get them on and then they can put it in the pantry. Posek lem bezen oisef pamachel b'shon. Lo yamakol ne'avi v'la pamachel b'shon. Omer the posek bezen oisef b'chol yom. Lo yamakol ne'avi v'chol yom. There was a king
That's a
that he
good
would give his son. He'd give his son $1 million once a year, and then the kid's son would come once a year to get his $1 million. So the guy got smarter. He said, "Come here every day." He gave him $5,000 a day, and that was yeah. Af Yisrael, Mishi Yesh Lo Arba v'Chamisha Bonim Hoye Doig V'Oim Hashem Lo Yerit Man Lamocha V'Nimtza Kula Meisam Barov V'Nimtza Kula Machavim Neslibe V'Lavim Shebashamayim. That when they had the mon coming every day, they have to put their trust into God. If the mon would come once a year, they would pray to God once a year. But because the mon wouldn't last more than a day, so at night, when his 5 children went to sleep, he looked at his children. He said, "We're in the desert. Are we going to eat something tomorrow? Chas v'shalom, we're going to die of starvation." So if he was a person that was bilti maimed, he had little bitochen, so he ate his heart out and he was anxious all night. But if he had bitochen, he went to sleep. Don't worry, the Rabbi Shalom will give. He gave us today the morning, give us tomorrow the morning. So that was the unbelievable test of bitochen that they had, and also the unbelievable thing to put themselves in Hashem's hand. The second mile of having it every day, it's fresh. Third mile, they don't have to carry it. So there was a lot of miles of having it fresh every single day. That they were once sitting and they were saying droshes in the Pashas Hamon. So, I will have a bit of tarfin. Hey, my doy. At Mose at the Magabiv Dvorim Mevi Alain. As they say in Yiddish, was Hackstad Chinik? What do you want from us? Amalai, Rabbi Mikrani Deutsch. I have a pasuk. This is really funny, Drash. Chomesh Esri Amas, Malamayla Govru Amayim Vechasorim. He says, I don't understand. How can the water cover only because again, it is not pshat. This is drash. So there's mountains and there's valleys. How can you say the whole world is covered with a layer of 15 feet of water? Water is, so you had like water like this, 15 feet of water going like this, but water is water. Water always goes down. So how do you have 15 feet of water everywhere? It doesn't make sense. How can you say do that? Yeah, after
If you have a worldwide flood for a year, then to tell me that it can't be all flat, the same marble that went on for a year, it can be the same marble that it's all flat on one level. I mean, I don't see the
That's his answer. The world filled up with water at some point, and then it was ashvu maya bahade turis, like it became flat, so there was you could see the edges of all mountains, or some of the mountains more or less, but it was like the water was the same amount. And after that there was 15. Basically he said that exactly that.
So it has to go 15 amount above the Himalayas.
Yeah, exactly. He Eza mida meruba mida toiva mida puronis. If I have mida toiva mida puronis, that the Eibush gives mida toiva more than puronis. So the mida puronis aimer varuba sashamayim niftoch. That there were windows that opened from heaven, and it came out. How much came out? So much water. There was 15 amma more than the highest mountain. Mida toiva aimer veitzav shchokim imal v'dalse shamayim posach. He didn't only open up 2 windows; he opened 2 doors from heaven to give them on. So obviously 2 doors are much more than 2 windows. So if from 2 windows came 15 amas, so from 2 doors came 60 amas. And to be more precise, he makes a whole cheshbon. By the Altshram, Pasal Yamtel, I'm Mamlach, but the Ganshram Lasalam, Kama Arubos, Yesh Bedelis Arba. Arba, Harekan Shmoina. Each door has 4. Nimtza, Monshi Erlam Yisrael. So it was over there was 2 windows. And here was 4 windows. So here was 4 times the amount. 4 times 15 is 60. Tanya. So that was his cheshbon. Tanya Yisib and Yehudaim and Monshi Erlam Yisrael Hoim is Gaber Vaila Hatcherayna so Kol Malachim Yizrach Hamayrim. Shenema Tarach Mafari Shulchan Agetzayre. That the whole world was able to see how much mon was by the Jews, that it was piled high up. Rashi really says in Chumash another thing, that when the Chama Shemesh Venamas, when the mon would melt, the water would go out, and then the animals would drink it. And when the nations of the world would capture those animals and would shech them or eat the meat, it was unbelievable flavor, and they knew the shevach of the mon. The Gemara dashes also the Goyim Poshet saw the mon piling high to the sky, 60 amma, whatever high. I'm gonna buy Shemana Kisa David, the Kosa the David, Alma Dose, Mosam Besin and Bachad, Luga.
It was so big, how did eat it?
No, it's some melt. Ma'ama Shanami Koisir Voya, that we say the Tarach Lafon Shulchan, that the whole world is able to see the Shulchan. Also, Mashiach will come. There's going to be a big Shulchan from Sudas Mashiach. And it says that will be Koisi Revoya. Revoya is 221. Reish is 200. Vav Yud Hey is 21. That David the Melech's Kois is going to be 221 lugim full of liquid of wine. The Gemara, Ladam is also Barbie and Chadashite also Mulkalam Israel. Obviously, Tvei. So maybe how can you compare? Maybe over here was more, over here was less. It was like Zayda Shavas. It was like Zayda Shavas. The Torah is trying to tell me that. But Rabbi Haltzach Chazayin, he holds that it was really 60. It was 60. It was 60 amma.
So by Abut Shemayim, I should say Abut Shemayim, still about 15.
Okay, I'm sorry we went a little over the time, but I just wanted to cover a little bit of ground. Maybe Shal Alfan, that the Rebbe Marash said that Parnosov is manazet like mon, that every one of us should have that bitochen that Eden had in the desert. And Amela, we should see the brocha that comes in that type of richness, that it's not that the brocha that we get, it's adbuli die.
I don't think our hope was.
Hashem never went to sleep till he took away all the money from the house.
I don't think our robot and Blackwood was only 2. Our robot is a lot. Blackwood is a lot.
Yeah, Rubot means 2 lotion.
Minimum 2.
Loss is also Dalse means minimum 2. Okay. Shikoyach everyone for joining us. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, we're going to do the Shulchan Aruch, that we from the Gemara that we learned now. Good night.